Hello everyone and welcome to our new video on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about Nix and Home Manager. The last video seemed to be well received and everyone liked the kind of beginning of using Flakes. My favorite part about Nix is their Home Manager. Recently I bought a new laptop and I wanted to move my whole sort of development environment to the new computer. I could have installed all the packages and sort of set up all the files from scratch. Instead, I used the Home Manager feature that Nix offers, and let me tell you, it's been a slight life-changing moment, and it made me very happy. So I'll be using that going forward for any sort of new work laptops, any sort of new computers that I'll be using. So in this video, we're going to go over the whole setup, and we'll walk through how to set it up from scratch. I'll show you guys an example file of what I kind of built. It's very simple, easy to edit. I don't want to overcomplicate it. So yeah, let's get started. We'll head over to the terminal just now. Now being in the terminal, we'll post a link to the Home Manager documentation in the description. There's a couple of things that we expect. So we expect you to have Nix installed, Flakes, and have those enabled in the configuration, which is actually shown in the previous video on how to set that up. So if you guys haven't seen the first video on Nix Flakes, I will post a little note on the top left, top right of the video, so you guys can go follow that. So ask you to do a couple of things. You'll need to add the Nix channel for the Home Manager and update it. Once that's done, we'll just run this command, which is nix shell home manager -a install. It'll take a couple of seconds and it'll install everything for us. I think it'll be quite quick for me because I already have everything. Yep, so it's there. As you can see here, I have the installs it in your home directory and config /home manager, and there's a Home.nix file. So that's where we're going to have kind of all the fun right there. So let's just head over there real quick. So config home manager, and I'll show you guys what the file looks like. So let me see what it looks like on your guys' screen. Close this. Yeah. So kind of looking at the file, looks very similar to Nix Flake. There's a few different changes. The good thing about Home Manager is you could use Flakes to kind of build your system. There is a little caveat there where they do say that Flakes is still an experimental sort of feature and it could have reversible changes and it might not be supported by Home Manager going forward. So we're just going to focus on the Home Manager setup, and maybe in a future video I'll show you guys how to use Nix Flakes and Home Manager together. So let's just go through the file real quick. It's defines your home username, home directory. The state version is actually where it's pulling the packages. So I think the latest is 24.05. I don't think you can change it to unstable. I think you have to lock it, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section if you can change it to unstable. Home packages is where I define like all the packages like Golang, Python, NeoVim and stuff to be installed. And if you have, like me, like your favorite NeoVim sort of setup, you can actually define in this home file section where it's gonna copy it from and where to install it. So for example, I created in my other computer, I created a .files folder where I have my NeoVim sort of configuration and ZSHRC file. I'm gonna keep building and we're gonna develop that with time, but especially the NeoVim that I wanted to copy over. And you can define it to actually be stored in your Nix store, and then it's going to create a symlink from the Nix store to the NeoVim location. So it just pulls it from there, and then you can update that in your .files store folder, run Nix, not Nix, Home Manager switch, and it's going to rebuild it constantly. So it's a good way to kind of declaratively have your whole sort of machine set up. So we're gonna start up with building this file with the packages first. So let's hold it over here, and we're just gonna delete all of this. We're gonna install a few packages that kind of like some of them I don't have on this computer, so we'll see them in action. I'll also show you guys how it's pulling it from. So let's do this. So I like having K9s installed for viewing any sort of Kubernetes thing. So first let's install the sort of Kubernetes packages. I like having packages kubectl, kubectx as well for context switching and Docker. Then we'll have some Terraform stuff, TNV, packages, AWS CLI, because I'm going to work with AWS, NeoVim, I think it's called NeoVim, packages, the ESA, which is a really cool tree viewer for like your terminal. So I'll show you guys that in a second. It's a really cool package that I use quite a lot as well. And then some programming languages, just Go, packages, USC, packages.cargo, packages.lua, Lua rocks, and packages.gcc. I think that'll do for now. Do I need anything else? Am I missing? Oh, Python, for example, as well. Let's just make sure how it's called in Nix package manager. I'll show you guys where I pull all the packages from and where I get these sort of definitions. So let me just double check what Python this is. Is it just called Python or Python free? It's called Python free. Packages.python free. There we go. And this is the cool section. So the home file is where I show you guys how I define, for example, my NeoVim and the ZSRC. So let's start with it all sort of goes from the home directory. So home file is quite self-explanatory in that reason. So if you want something to be in .config, you just define, /home / your sort of path and where it's going. So let's start with ZSHRC, just like that. And then we do .source, where we source it from. And I'll create this folder just in a second. So .files /ZSHRC, and then we'll have our next thing. Oh, we need to close this as well. And then we'll have our next thing, which is my NeoVim package. So I'll do home communal .config /nvim. So that's how I'll do like a folder, for example, if you want to copy over a whole folder. And then it's the same sort of idea of where we're sourcing it from. So source equals .files /nvim. And we copy the whole folder, for example. And this is it. So it's very straightforward. There's a lot of different ways, like I mentioned in the previous video, and Nix, and how you can define stuff. So you can do it with lakes. You can define it in sort of variables, so your packages, because this file can grow and grow and can be massive by the end of it. But if you want simplicity and you only want just certain packages installed and a few sort of files copied over between systems, I think this is more than enough to kind of have that sort of running. There's also here, for example, there's ways to be able to define sort of like pre-configurations for programs. So like say your Git sort, for example, Git, you want to define like your username to be consistent and your email. You can define that here. There's a couple of examples in the Home Manager manual, so you guys can check that out in the description. So let's save this, WQ, just make sure I have my .files here. So let me just copy that over real quick. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so I've copied over my .files that I've got on my GitHub, so I don't want to write it all out again. But for example, if you look here now, I have my .files in the same location as my Home Manager in .config. What I did, for example, right now is just create a Git repository and stored all of this, and I'm just going to keep building it till I have like my perfect setup. I'm going to build out these .files a bit more. I've only got ZSHRC and NeoVim here at the moment, but I do have some configurations that I like on K9s and some other packages in Tmux. So I'll be updating them as we kind of go. So now to kind of run this, you would do Home Manager switch, and this is going to build out our whole system as we kind of defined it in that file, and it's going to store all this sort of packages in the Nix store and create symlinks to that. So it's not going to install it directly on your system. It's all in Nix store, and the symlinks are going to be controlled by that. So it's a great way to kind of do this in a bunch of new systems that you're working on. For example, I work in a consultancy, so often we get new computers or new laptops for different clients. So to have my same sort of setup going between different laptops is great, So it's going to take a couple of minutes, and then we should be able to see it. Here we go. After a couple of minutes, it's actually all set up now. So one thing I forgot to mention as well, which I ran into there whilst I was building, is if you are copying files over folders, you cannot have it already existing in that location. So I had an error with this ZSHRC being there and the admin folder already being there. So I just moved them as backups, do that just in case something goes wrong and you want to go back to your previous sort of configuration, and then run Home Manager switch again. So now let's have a look at my NeoVim, for example. Has it changed? It's going to install all the sort of different packages that I had set up. And it's going to run to error, which is config permission denied. I think that is just because of some other stuff, but that is fine. So let's see, WP again. Yeah, there we go. And my NeoVim is set up the way I kind of like it as well, with everything being done the way I might need a couple more packages to kind of copy over. I think I had some missing in that sort of in this home packages. So as you can see, it's installed everything. So let's try K9s, for example. I know K9s I didn't have on the system, and there we go. K9s is installed. Everything's there. Oh, I have Minikube cluster running. I don't know if it's still running or is it off. I think it should be off at the moment. But L-tree, so LT, this is the ESA plugin that I told you guys about earlier. As you can see, it kind of builds out a nice tree of your folder structure here as well, and it's copied over my ZSHRC file as well. So for me, this is great. I like to keep it relatively simple. I don't like trying out, I like trying out different code things and making it as, you know, arbitrary as possible. But if I'm passing it to different people, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So that Home.nix file is simple, fairly clean. It might grow to be big, but at least it's going to be more readable. Then that's a bigger advantage for me rather than making something a little bit shorter, but it's harder to read for people. So I hope you guys like this. It was quite a short video, but you guys hopefully get the gist of Home Manager and the benefits of it. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment in the section. If there's something I missed that you guys feel like is important, feel free to leave it in the comments as well. I don't mind taking criticism. I'm not an expert on these by any stretch of imagination, but I just like to show the cool things that I kind of find and are helpful for me in my kind of day-to-day work as a DevOps engineer. So I hope this helps. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Until the next video. Thanks.